Hey everyone, welcome back to the Deep Dive. We're going deep today on a topic that I think a lot of people might not fully grasp. We're diving into the world of rehabilitation counseling.
It is a fascinating field, and it's much broader than I think most people realize.
Yeah, absolutely. We've gotten a ton of requests from listeners to really dig into this. I know we touched on it briefly before, but folks are really interested in understanding the nuances, and we have a lot of great source material you sent over to work from,
Definitely a lot to unpack.
for sure. I guess maybe a good place to start is just to, well, define it. Like when we say rehabilitation counseling, what are we really talking about? What's at the heart of this field?
At its core, rehabilitation counseling is all about empowering. It's about empowering individuals, helping people with disabilities, people who have experienced injuries, or maybe are facing some significant health challenges. It helps them to really not just live their lives, but to thrive in all areas of life.
That's a really good distinction, not just to get by, but to actually thrive.
Mhm.
So what does that look like in practice? What are the key roles that these rehabilitation counselors actually play? 'Cause it sounds like it's a pretty multifaceted role.
Yeah, it really is. And it's multifaceted in a way that's all about ultimately supporting the individual. So, one of the most fundamental aspects is this idea of empowerment and independence.
Okay, so break that down for me. What does that mean in this specific context?
It means that rehab counselors, they really focus on helping their clients to rediscover their independence, to build their self-confidence. So much of what they deal with is about adapting to change, a new reality. And that means sometimes a new sense of self. It's about helping them find a sense of purpose in maybe a life that's quite different than what they once knew.
That's powerful stuff. It's almost like helping someone redefine what's possible.
Right.
Like not going back to who they were, but discovering who they can be now in
Mhm.
this new circumstance.
Exactly. And part of that is giving them the tools to get there, not just emotionally, but practically too.
And a huge part of that often involves work, right? Getting back to work,
Mm-hmm.
or maybe even finding a new career path entirely.
Absolutely. Career and vocational guidance are a huge part of what rehabilitation counselors do.
Okay, so what does that look like specifically?
Well, they help people to, enter or maybe re-enter the workforce. Maybe they were in a job that they can no longer do, or maybe they've never worked before. And because of their disability, they need extra support. And this can involve, helping them to assess their skills, their interests, and then identifying career paths that are a good fit.
Like personalized career coaching almost, tailored to their unique situation.
Exactly. And it's not just about finding a job. It's about making sure that job is meaningful, it's sustainable, it actually works for them in their current circumstances.
I imagine that's a huge boost to someone's sense of self-worth and independence too. Like being able to contribute, provide for themselves, and have that purpose that work can provide.
Absolutely. And when we talk about thriving in all areas of life, like we were saying earlier, it's important to remember that rehab counseling takes a very holistic approach.
Okay, so let's talk about that. What does that holistic approach actually mean?
So it means that they consider the whole person. So it's not just about, say, addressing a physical limitation. It's about their physical health, their emotional well-being, their social connections, even their mental health. Because all of these aspects, they're all intertwined.
They all feed into each other.
Yeah.
You can't really address one without considering the others.
Exactly. And that's what makes rehabilitation counseling so unique. It recognizes that interconnectedness and works with the whole person.
And I'm guessing that this holistic approach extends beyond just the individual client, right? Like it's got a broader societal impact as well.
You're right, it does. Advocacy and social justice are huge components of rehabilitation counseling.
Interesting. Tell me more about that.
So, rehab counselors, they're actively working to break down systemic barriers, barriers that people with disabilities face, in the workplace, in the education system, out in the community. Um, they advocate for policy changes. They raise awareness about accessibility, about inclusion, and they might even work directly with organizations to, help them create more inclusive environments.
So they're fighting for change on multiple levels. On the individual level, directly supporting their clients,
Yeah.
but then also on a broader level, trying to shape a more inclusive world for everyone.
Exactly.
That's amazing. Now, we talked earlier about the mental health aspect, and I'm curious to hear a bit more about that. What kind of counseling and psychoeducation do they provide?
So often, they're helping their clients process and cope with the emotional and psychological impact of their disability or their health condition. I mean, this can be a really difficult adjustment to make, right?
Mhm.
So providing that emotional support is crucial. And then on top of that, there's psychoeducation.
What does that mean? Say what?
Psychoeducation. Basically, it's about educating them about their condition, in a way that's clear and empowering, and then teaching them practical tools and coping strategies, ways to manage their challenges, to build resilience, to, just really take care of their mental
It's
health.
about giving them the information and the skills to navigate their own internal landscape,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Alongside those external challenges they're facing.
Exactly. It's equipping them for the journey.
So we've talked about the individual support, the societal advocacy, the mental health aspect. Let's bring it back to work again. You mentioned workplace well-being and safety. How does that fit in?
So rehab counselors, they actually work with organizations to help them create more inclusive, more supportive work environments.
Okay, so what does that look like in practice? What do they actually do?
Well, they might advise on what are called reasonable accommodations,
Yeah.
adjustments that need to be made to a workplace to make it accessible for someone with a disability. They might also, provide training to employees, just raising awareness about different disabilities, fostering understanding. And of course, they're always looking at ways to ensure the safety and well-being of all employees while, recognizing those diverse needs that people might have.
It's like they're bridging that gap between the individual and the workplace,
Right.
making sure both sides are equipped to understand and support each other.
Right. And all of this often involves a lot of coordination with different services and
Yeah,
providers.
I can imagine. There are so many moving parts here. This is where case management comes in.
Yeah, you got it. Case management is a huge part of the role. Rehabilitation counselors, they coordinate different services. They collaborate with medical professionals, maybe physical therapists, occupational therapists, legal teams, even social service agencies, basically anyone who can provide support to their client.
It's like they're the central hub, making sure everyone's working together effectively and that the client's needs are being met from all angles.
Precisely. It's about making sure the support system is as seamless as possible.
That makes so much sense. And then, of course, there's that direct support that's specific to the disability or injury itself, right?
Exactly. Disability and injury management is really at the core of what they do. So they're guiding clients through the process of adjusting to their condition, providing information, emotional support, connecting them with resources with assistive technology, anything that can help them to be as independent as possible in their daily life.
And I'm guessing that this also ties into education and inclusion as well, right? Making sure people have access to learning opportunities and that they can fully participate in their community.
Absolutely. They advocate for inclusive educational settings, and they really work to remove those barriers that might prevent people from participating fully in, all aspects of community life, whether it's social activities, recreational activities, even civic engagement. It's about creating a society where everyone can contribute and feel a sense of belonging.
And underpinning all of this amazing work, you mentioned something called evidence-based practice. Why is that such a cornerstone of rehabilitation counseling?
Well, it's important to know that rehabilitation counseling is not just based on, intuition or good intentions. It's grounded in research. It relies on interventions and strategies that have been proven effective, strategies that have actually been shown to create lasting positive change in people's lives.
So they're not just winging it, they're using approaches that are backed by science and proven to work.
Right. It's about using the best available knowledge to help their clients.
It's amazing when you think about it. Rehabilitation counseling really brings together so many different elements. It's direct support, it's advocacy, it's education, it's career guidance. And it's all woven together with this incredible focus on the individual and their unique needs.
It is. And ultimately, it's all about empowering people to live full and meaningful lives, regardless of the challenges they face.
It's a really powerful reminder that even in the face of adversity, there's always the potential for growth, for adaptation, for thriving. And for anyone listening who might be navigating a disability or a significant health challenge themselves, or maybe someone they know, reaching out to a qualified rehabilitation counselor could be a really important step. It could make a huge difference.
And it's a good thing for all of us to think about, what does it mean for society as a whole when we have this kind of robust support system in place? When people are not just coping but thriving, when they're able to contribute their unique skills and perspectives, I think that paints a pretty hopeful picture of a more inclusive future.
It does. It makes you realize that everyone benefits when we create a world where everyone can participate and reach their full potential. So, something to think about. And on that note, we'll wrap up this deep dive. Thanks for listening, everyone.
Thanks for having me.
Until next time.
See ya.